I'm James, and I'm an old guy in Europe.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Bom dia! Tudo bem? E tu?
Tudo bem. 5 estrelas, faz favor. 5 estrelas, obrigado. E contigo?
5 estrelas.
Sim.
Estrelas? Não sei, estrelas.
5 stars, my friend. It's what Nelson sometimes says down at the Palmeira Cafe. 5 estrelas. And yes, what a lovely thing to be able to say on a Monday morning.
Okay, so now I can put stars to the beer.
Please do. Feel free. Go ahead. How was your weekend?
Because that's the only estrella that I remember seeing is on a beer.
Yeah. And now other people will mysteriously be thinking, I fancy a Estrella beer later on today, and we'll be to blame for that, James.
Yes.
Without even any
queuing going on.
Yeah. So how was your bon fin de semana, my friend?
Very nice. I got out for the first time. I've had this bicycle for months, and for the first time I actually rode it all the way to the Ericeira Villa, which is about 4.5 kilometers each way. So it was a decent ride and very hilly. And one of the main roads while it has a really nice bicycle walkway, it's on one side or the other. So you have to cross a busy road to stay in the bike lane, which is a little tricky. But my biggest victory was navigating the 3-lane roundabout as I was approaching the villa. All right, I'm going to do this as other bicyclists have suggested, just do it like a car. I said, all right. Yeah. And I did it. Left lane in, signaled left, moved into the center lane, went around past the first right turn, signaled right, and then turned right. And it all worked just fantastically. So
you haven't lost it. You haven't lost it. Your cyclist touch on the road there, by the sound of it. And I think, especially on a Sunday, Portuguese people tend to be very aware and forgiving of cyclists because it is a big cycling culture here, isn't it, in Portugal?
Yeah, I don't know too much about the actual culture of it. As I said, this was my first venture out where there were lots of cars. I've taken a few smaller roads closer to home just to get a feel for it, because it's an electric bike and it operates differently than the last electric bike I had. Portugal vehicle laws don't allow a throttle on an electric bike. Otherwise, it's considered a motorcycle, so you have to get licensed to ride it. So you initiate the motor by pedaling the pedals. You don't have to actually be putting any torque on the wheel. They just have to be spinning in order for the motor to engage. And that takes a little getting used to, especially if you're going up a hill and you have to stop and now you're in a low gear or whatever. It's like, oh, I have to get this thing going before the motor is going to kick in. So it was good practice for me. A lot of different moving parts to get used to rather than just, pedaling and steering and braking.
But what is the Ericeira Villa, though, James? Well, congratulations on getting on your bike, so to speak, which has a political connotation to it in the UK. But what is the Ericeira Villa?
It is. It's some people call it, the center. It's so many. My limited experience of Europe is so much of it because it's so old. The modern areas tend to build up outside the central area, which is where the original place was. In Italy, it's usually around the churches, the piazzas. And in Portugal, it's, so far my experience is not terribly different, where the oldest parts of the cities are the villas. And apparently there's some, and I knew it once, but I don't remember what it was, the distinction between a town and a city and a villa was something better than just being a town or whatever.
Yeah.
It had to be designated as such. So Ericeira is referred to as a vila, which just basically refers to town center, where the Praça da Repúblicas are generally located somewhere near the center of the
Oh, and
old
the
town.
house, those sorts of things. Yes, okay. Yes, the template structure that we've come to know and love in Portugal. So you're basically just cycling into town, and keeping fit, having a little look around.
Well, yeah, and it was between the rains. We got a good break, so the sky was beautiful. The temperature was perfect for exercising and not getting overly overheated. I have a box on the back of my bike because part of it was with the idea that if I needed to pick up groceries at Intermarché or whatever, then I needed a place to be able to put my groceries when I came home. So I was able to try all those things out really for the first time, and it all worked very, very well. I will say that my experience so far of Portugal is that many of the coastal towns are at the lowest elevation. And then depending on how close you are to the hills is how steep the hill is getting back to where you come from. So 4.5 kilometers from the villa is pretty much all uphill, 4.5 kilometers.
Wow.
So coming in was quite fun. It's like, whee, just coasting on down the hill, but going back was
American guy. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Even with the motor, you have to give it a little leg help to get up some of those hills. So I got some good exercise. I got out in the
checking in on you with that, because that's such a sounds like a lovely thing to do. Fresh air exercise, and you feel like you've earned it, don't you, when you go to town and back on the bicycle? That's lovely. I do that from time to time. James, you don't actually have to move into the centre lane in the roundabout. Apparently, it says expert and veteran cyclist Sarah. Just signal as you go around. And yes, the Portuguese drivers are wonderful in the main. I see a lot of cyclists out on a Sunday with mountain bikes and touring bikes. I think it's quite a big tradition here.
Yeah, as I did my research, I got several different answers. The most common was the law is different than the practice. Very much. It's just like, okay, the law says one thing, you do it another way. So I got everything from use the sidewalks on the edge of the roundabout and just use the crossing areas to just take the outside circumference of the entire roundabout to do it like you're a car. And from what I could read in the cycling law was that bicyclists are to be treated as motor vehicles, just like in California. So I'm very familiar with that. So they're asked to be to the right of the lane as far as possible, but as far as is safe. So if it's not safe to be all the way over to the right, you have the right to the lane. And if the cars don't want to drive slowly behind you, too bad. You have the right of way in that situation. And from what I could tell in the law in Portugal, it doesn't even say to the degree it's safe. If you're in a lane, you have the lane, and it's up to the automobiles to then give the right of way to you. And if they're going to pass you,
yes. If you're in front of somebody in Portugal, you have the road, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, someone with a wheelbarrow, or
somebody with a horse and cart.
Someone with a horse and cart. Yeah. If you're in front, you've got the road.
I just think that's common courtesy, isn't it?
Take a chill pill. There's something in front of you. Yeah.
Well, I'm used to California. That's where I've done most of my bicycling before, and I think the overwhelming majority of automobile owners and drivers consider bicyclists a nuisance, and that they have no rights on the road. Get off my street. What are you doing here? You're in my way. I have to get to work is the attitude. So they'll pass very closely. They'll honk at you. They'll yell at you when they pass because the motor vehicle law in California says this very same thing. Bicycles have the right of way when it's not safe to be as far right as they can be. And the motor vehicles have to honor that. So I have a rear view mirror on my helmet so I can see what's approaching me. I still look behind as if I'm in a car because I don't trust the this is part of what I brought with me from California, is I don't trust that the drivers are going to respect the fact that I own the lane, and there may be someone trying to pass me, 6 inches away from me, and I'm going to turn in and, hit the side of a car or something. So I don't trust it yet. But so far, my experience as of yesterday is, as you have said, very respectful. Nobody honked, nobody yelled. There was one car waiting to enter the roundabout as I was in the center lane and signaling right, because I was going to go right on the next lane. They just waited, and when I got past them, they pulled in behind me and followed me right, just like it's supposed to work. So I didn't have any problems with it.
And clearly, you said you wear a helmet, which is a good plan, isn't it? And with a mirror on it, because I used to be able to look behind me very easily on a bicycle. The older I've got, the more difficult I found it to do that little turn behind me, which is good.
Well, the trick, if you're going straight, is to turn your head, because you want to turn. The hands want to go with you, which then takes you out into the traffic. So how do I keep going straight, not see where I'm going, and see if I can see anything out of my periphery? So having a mirror in front of me, it's attached to my helmet, so it sits right here. I can just look up and see at least see if there's a car there. Although my eyesight is not as good as it used to be, so it's blurry. And I thought even with my glasses, it's too close.
There. Right.
The mirror has to be like out here somewhere. Oh, I can see him now, because when it's here, whoa, a little too fuzzy.
Okay, introverts then. I think you're outing yourself immediately with how this has been arranged, James, as an introvert. Did you like those earlier definitions?
Well, as I was watching it, I said, well, my job is done. I'll just sit back and watch.
Oh, no. Stole your thunder. Okay.
No, there's a lot that can be said on the subject. I do just want to quickly, because sometimes there's things that linger with me from the previous week, and I just wanted to make a couple of comments. In some ways, it reflects how my mind works, which may or may not have. I don't think it has anything to do with introversion or extroversion, but I hesitated a little bit when Deagle said he was going to the funeral of an old friend. And my mind just instantly went to Monty Python and humor and jokes, which I don't think it's avoiding the concept of death. It's just the playfulness with words. I said, well, if you're going to his funeral, he's not old, he's dead.
That's dry.
That's very
yes.
Yes.
Yes. I'm not dead yet. Anyway, I thought, well, maybe that's too soon, and I don't mean it disrespectfully. It's just how why I can walk through my life smiling a lot is I tell myself a lot of jokes all the time, and I enjoy my humor. So
I'd like that book as well as your Arrogant Nations of the World. Let's have jokes that made James laugh to himself in the street. That would be a pretty good
my God, that would be so confusing for most people.
Oh, okay.
Last week, Jean, I think she quoted somebody that used the combination of the word brutal and the word honesty. And anytime I see that, it's a reminder to me that honesty never needs to be brutal. Honesty, first of all, honesty is not about someone else, it's about me. So maybe I can be brutal with myself, but if I'm being honest with someone and I know that it might be challenging for them, I can still be honest with them without being brutal. Brutality, I mean, it's violent. Brutality is violent. And you can be honest without being violent and be very, very direct. But if you do it with kindness and love and compassion and not from an ego place, then you can make your effort to influence the other with what you are being honest about yourself, which is probably going to be your reaction to their situation. And it's not brutal. So I just like to point that out. It's part of my work. It's a part of how I live my life. And
one of the dad jokes chimes with that today. If a man says you're ugly, he's being mean. If a woman says you're ugly, she's envious. If a little kid says you're ugly, you're ugly. Now that's a dad joke, and it is funny, isn't it? From the mouths of babes and all that. But the interesting thing is that kid is being honest according to what they think and just saying it out loud, right? Mm-hmm. And that's the other part of this kind of conversation or this thread, isn't it? Is that people are just saying what they think, and we can take that on board, can't we? As a context, it's like, Well, thank you for that point of view. You don't have to just accept something because someone else says it, do you? Although we tend to, don't we? Especially if we've got a proclivity or a sensitivity or a trigger point with the thing they're talking about. And funnily enough, we tend to attract those people who might be hovering around our proclivities and sensitivities and trigger points with certain things in life for some reason. I don't know why that might be, but yes, thank you for that little point of order on brutal honesty and honesty and how we might manage it.
Yeah, there we go.
Radical
candor requires empathy. The main premise that Brad Blanton talks about is, just tell the truth, but stick around to clear up the mess.
Clear up that mess.
So, like, so it makes you absolutely responsible in the way that you are being truthful.
Yeah.
Because you have to stick around and stay in the conversation. I quite like that.
Yes.
And then Jim White's saying, "Tell the truth without blame and judgment," from Angelis Arrien, The Fourfold Way.
Is that an origami book?
So I think that's really resonated what you shared there.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes. Well, and it all requires getting ego out of the way.
Yes.
Getting ego out of the way is how you do that, because I say to clients, friends, anything I say is a reminder to myself, is that when anyone is telling you about you, they're actually revealing themselves to you. And with that understanding, you can react with compassion as opposed to, some violent, triggered, emotional reaction to it. Okay, you're saying you, and you're pointing your finger at me, which is revealing to me what you think, how you process, how you experience things. And from that, I can then go, oh, wow, it must be tough to operate from that position where you can see me in this light. As opposed to, no, I'm not. You don't know me, which is that's the ego reaction, right? So, I think
that's really well expressed.
Good man.
I mean, that's something I